It's a beautiful bacon day, Cookie Crusaders. Today I wanted to come to you guys and talk about something pretty important that I've actually not found talked about much anywhere else, and that is skill priority stacking. And so this one is a little bit complex because it takes very in depth team building to really get it pinned down to the exact science. Now, to show you real quick what I'm talking about, if you notice here, 17 seconds is parfait skill, 17 seconds is tail skill, 17 seconds is sorbet skill, 17 for sea fairy, and 17 for cotton. If we go to attack, we have no toppings on them. We've removed all toppings so that there's no alter adjustments on them. Notice how it starts tails, sorbet, sea fairy, cotton, parfait, right to left. So this is skill priority. And I've never realized this until just digging further into these tests. And this is something I think that's very important, that maybe sometimes you guys are thinking, why is certain cookies going slower than another? Now, of course, attack speed is very important for how fast your cookies attack and how fast the animations are for the skills. But more importantly, the cooldown does not just affect how fast your actual skill goes off, but it affects the priority too. So let me give an example here. So we're going to take a back cookie off, like parfait, and we're going to get a cookie that we know for a fact will be in the back line, and we'll just take someone at 16 seconds, such as, we'll go with Eclair. So Eclair, okay, not backline, that's fine. Midline still works. The position of the cookie didn't actually make a difference. I did try that. It didn't make any difference. So you can see here, if we adjust Eclair to have no toppings on, now it's going to be 16 seconds for Eclair and 17 for everyone else. And then when we go to battle, you can see everyone's going to cool down at the same time, but then Eclair is going to run in that same priority. So 16 seconds for Eclairs, but it takes 5 seconds because the 16 second and the 17 second don't have a lot of variance in time in that initial cooldown. So if we go even further down, let's go down to someone who has a 4-second cooldown start. And that would be someone like Kumio, Black Raisin, Moon Rabbit, things like that. And it might seem self-explanatory, but if you look, so Black Raisin's in the back. There's no reason for them to be in the front line of the list of right to left, but because that cooldown is faster, Black Raisin goes first. And so you're like, yeah, I know, get the cooldown lower, and it goes ahead and it does its skill before everyone else. Well, okay, here's where it really matters. Maybe you have 25% cooldown on 2 important cookies. Let's say that you have 25% skill cooldown on sea fairy and cotton. Now that's not the case here. Let's try and find someone who is the case. So Frost Queen we'll take instead of Sea Fairy. So with Frost Queen, normally it is an 18-second cooldown, and with Cotton it is a 17-second. So if we look at their toppings, Cotton has 24.2% cooldown. Frost Queen has 19.5. So that means that Cotton is going to go first in this situation because, as you can see in this list, same cooldown point. But we actually got Tails and Sorbet to go before Frost Queen and Cotton, even though they're running toppings that are getting them to a faster cooldown. They are still at the same priority levels as the other cookies. So I'm going to run that one more time, but this time I'm going to slow the battle down and see if you can catch it again. So everyone's got the same cooldown speed except Sorbet here with the toppings they have on. And so Black Raisin went first, then Frost Queen and Cotton, then Sorbet. And so why this is important is maybe you're trying to build a specific team to do a specific action, and if they don't have the right priority stacking, you're going to have some issues in battles. So like, let's say for instance you have a meta team such as this, and your priority is stacked that Dark Cacao and Tea Knight go first, and your Frost Queen, Sea Fairy, and Eclair go last because of the way you have your cooldown set up. That means that you're not going to be getting the skill delay from Frost Queen, you're not going to be getting the stun from Sea Fairy before you do anything else with every other cookie. And so in battles that are very quick, such as player versus player, and even in certain boss battles, you want to have the skill priority stacked in a way that's beneficial for you. Now, I can post a link to the skill cooldown guide so you can see how every cookie lines up for the skill cooldowns. So you can see, if you make a specific cooldown percentage on that cookie, how it's going to affect their time on initial attack and time on skill afterwards. But what's important is building the team in the coordinates of how you want the skills to fire off. So now that I know this, what I'm going to try and do is accumulate the toppings and shift around pieces so that Eclair should hopefully go second after Frost Queen, because I want Frost Queen to go first to do the freeze, and then by the time Eclair's skill hits and the weakness hits, they'll have already been frozen. They'll have the weakness on them, so the damage from the freeze burst hits for the maximum amount of damage. Then have Sea Fairies go ahead and hit them for the stun right after they're done with the freeze. And then any further debuffs applied by Dark Cacao and Tea Knight. And that'll be important in that sense because Dark Cacao then can reduce their max healing, which they'll already be super far down at that point, and then Tea Knight will just swoop in for the remaining kill points. And so this is a short video. I can go into it in more detail when I get toppings to give visual examples beyond just the skill priority that you saw from having everyone at the same cooldown speed. But if you're wondering why your cookies are slower than another opponent's, or if you're, like if you have max cooldown on like 2 or 3 cookies and, it's not lining up in a way that you think is making sense, remove some cooldown so that it gets properly put in the priority that makes sense for your team build. That way you can utilize and optimize the damage at the highest level possible. If you guys have any opinions or want to add anything to this, I'd love to hear it in the comments. Otherwise, thank you for coming and have a wonderful day.